Back to Besa starts right now on Fox 13.
Welcome to another episode of Back to Besa. I'm your host, Besa Gordon, and per usual, we have a loaded show for you all. And since we're quickly approaching our 1-year anniversary of Back to Besa airing on Fox 13, we're also tossing in a couple blasts from the past. So you already know it's time to grab your snacks. This week on Back to Besa, we head to Panther Lake Elementary to learn more about their Unstoppable program. We head to Mohi for the Towers of Tomorrow Legos exhibit. We tap in with AEW wrestler Nick Wayne. We give Communion Restaurant and Bar their flowers and relive the time I was a ring announcer for Defy Wrestling. Plus, we have events to know about. Up first, we're headed to Mohi. Now, I know I'm not the only one who played with Legos as a kid, but I never created anything like what I saw at the Towers of Tomorrow exhibit over at Mohi. That's the Museum of History and Industry for those that don't know, by the way. Anywho, Towers of Tomorrow is a pop-up exhibit that showcases Lego skyscrapers from North America, Asia, and Australia, all constructed in breathtaking architectural detail by Ryan McNaught, one of the only 21 Lego certified professionals in the world. To learn more about the exhibit, I talked with Mohi's Deborah Romanek, Chief of Exhibits and Interpretive Services, where I not only learned about the Towers of Tomorrow, but I also got to learn the history of Legos. Let's check it out. On a drizzly day in Seattle, you know what we're doing? We are at Mohi for their Towers of Tomorrow exhibit. Dude, we are going to learn about the history of Legos. We're gonna learn how this amazing exhibit got here. Plus, I'm even going to try to build myself a little Lego exhibit of my own. I'm not gonna hold you. I'm not gonna be good at it, but it's gonna feel good to get it done. Let's check it out.
I'm gonna say a lot is going on right here. This is our exhibition, Lego Towers of Tomorrow. And this is a traveling exhibition that comes to us from the Museum New South Wales, Australia, and Flying Fish, Traveling Exhibition Services. Here we serve a lot of families and a lot of families with kids. And so we like to have exhibitions that are fun for children of all ages. But it also hits on a number of themes that are really of interest to us here. As a museum of history and industry, we're very interested in innovation. The whole project altogether, I think, took some years to build all of these. It was built by a master Lego builder. There are 21 in the world. He did all of these. Which is also interesting, like most of the buildings in here, if not every single one, but probably every single one, for a moment has held a title like tallest building in the world, because that was true, I believe, of the Chrysler, and it was supplanted by the Empire State Building, and so on and so on. But at some point, every building in here may have been the tallest in the world, but also may hold some other sort of unique feature that it was the first of its kind, or some, perhaps have never been replicated.
You know what? After finding out that this is not a submarine and this is actually a pool, I need to travel more, okay? But what's also so cool about this is that you're able to see buildings that you may not have ever seen in person before, which then makes you be like, I want to see this in person myself. And it's all happening through Legos.
Lego starts in 1916 in Billund, Denmark. And there was a woodworker, Ole Kirk Christiansen, and he made furniture and toys from wood. In the 1930s, he decided he was going to focus solely on making toys. And so he founded Lego, which is a mashup of two Danish words, lekt godt, which means play well. And they started with wood toys, wooden pull toys, wooden blocks. We have some on exhibit as examples in the history. Jump to the 1990s and they start doing these franchise kits like Star Wars and later Harry Potter, etc. So they have been around a long time. They are now Lego is the #1 toy maker in the world. I want people to come with a sense of creativity and have a lot of fun. And, take in anything that they want to take away from this, whether it's learning something about the history of building, learning about architecture. I mean, one of the wonderful things about Lego is you have this opportunity to be creative and build yourself, and you can learn a lot of the skills that you would need in design and in architecture.
Okay, so obviously we are surrounded by skyscraper Lego masterpieces, but this area is actually pretty cool, and I'm gonna tell you why. each one of these pieces of art was actually built by, well, someone normal like me that just really wanted to feel like a big kid. There are pieces like this one where I'm like, how did you get that so high without it knocking over? And there's others where I'm like, okay, you've definitely done this before. Okay, you guys, this was a total blast and absolutely an amazing way to spend a rainy day in Seattle. We got to learn about the history of Legos, and personally, as a big kid, I got to see Legos in a way that I've never seen in person. These structures looked like someone really took a lot of time. I'm hearing that some of these took like, what? 20 hours or 72 hours to build 15,000 bricks. A lot of work went into this, and in order to move this around from city to state, oh my goodness, such a feat. Look, if you are able to pull up the Towers of Tomorrow, you definitely want to, and you also want to try your hand at building your own little Lego structure. I'm not gonna hold you, mine looks like it's something that would go on a shipwreck, but that's okay, because I had fun putting it together, and that is all that matters. Shout out to Mohai for allowing me to pull up. Let me tell you something, I always enjoyed playing with Legos growing up, except for when I was step on one, but hey. However, I never in a million years imagined anything like what they created in that exhibit. I highly suggest checking it out between now and September 22nd while it's in town. And to learn more about the Towers of Tomorrow, head on over to mohai.org/exhibits.
All right, it is time for our first commercial break. But not before we jump into our Back2Besa blast from the past. This time around, we are going back to the time that the Mariners' executive chef, Chef Javier Rosa, took us behind the scenes, behind the kitchen scenes, that is, over at Edgar's Cantina.
Hey guys, Besa Gordon here. We are at Edgar's Cantina right here at T-Mobile Park. And right now, I am with the executive chef, Javier Rosa.
Hey, thank you for having me here. I mean, finally we are able to do something in Edgar Cantina and show the people out there what we do in the stadium. I mean, definitely we're excited to tell you how we do all the quesadillas, the taquitos, and primos, all the food that we do in the stand.
I'm excited. I mean, we had a good time last time just sitting in the stands, but right now we are in your kitchen, we're in your house.
We are in the home. We are in the area where we make magic here, and we are excited to show you what we do day in, day out for all the fans that come to every game. Let me start by saying, we in Sodexo Live, we don't just make shortcuts. I mean, we're gonna do something, we're gonna do it right. We got halibut fresh from the Pacific. That's what we do for the taquitos. We don't do any frozen food in the stand. And we got our brisket, which is smoked brisket in-house. We have the halibut, which we portion it in portion of 2 ounces. We have a little bit of Old Bay seasoning to go with this. We season it really well. And then we have a little bit of chipotle sauce. Just the chipotle sauce, just to give it a little bit of spicy to the fish. When we have the fish already seasoned, we're gonna do a little oil in our flat top. And we are gonna just sear the fish. All right, once we got the fish halfway done that we did, we're gonna just squeeze a little bit of lemon. I like to grill my lemon to get more flavor even from it, okay? And then we're gonna put a little bit of our roasted peppers and onions. Once we get the taquito, we're gonna roll it as tight as you can. And we have to tie it up with some toothpicks here, because we're gonna fry this. I want to make sure that our taquitos doesn't open in the fryer. All right, once we have the taquitos already rolled up and secured, then we're gonna just put it in the fryer. We put 1 taquito. You already hear the whole sizzling coming out. It's just amazing to hear that sound right there. We're gonna fry this for around 3 minutes. Remember, the fish already cooked. We just want the tortilla to get a little bit of golden brown. Okay, you see, when the taquitos get their color, that's what you need. A little bit of golden brown color. You see the fish already cooked already.
Doesn't take too much.
Doesn't take that much. After that, we got a little bit of queso fresco. I mean, we got some cheese inside the taquito, but we have some queso fresco to even enhance more the flavor. You got a little bit of jalapeno here, and then you have a little bit of avocado crema. The avocado crema will give you, that you got some chipotle inside the taquito. That avocado crema will give you some refreshness coming from the taquito. So when you come to a cantina, that will be your halibut fresh taquito from the Pacific Coast. What about that? You have a little bit of cheese that melts. It's not that much, but you got the fish with a little seasoning on it, and just the avocado crema just refresh.
The fish is not frozen.
I mean, we don't use frozen food at all. I mean, that's if you're gonna do a great product, you have to use fresh product. I mean, you're in Seattle. I mean, why do you use frozen product when you have the best seafood around?
Well, Chef, I want to thank you so much for allowing us to come into your house today. This was an amazing experience, and this is definitely something that came off of my bucket list. Always wanted to do something like this.
Definitely, the pleasure is all mine. Thank you for having me with you here in the program. And for me, it was an opportunity to show the people out there what we have here in the stadium for them to come and try this amazing food as well.
Yes, so dude, next time you come to T-Mobile Park, make sure you stop by Edgar's Cantina. And my recommendation is the taquitos, okay? Welcome back to Back2Besa. Now in its second year at Panther Lake Elementary, the Unstoppable Coaching Program is a partnership between the school and Black Equality Coalition. Thus far, the program has reached 60 students between the 3rd and 5th grade. Together, they've crafted invaluable experiences and lessons while instilling hope and optimism for the future. Through activities like career days with industry leaders, career exploration fairs, art therapy, and healing circles, the program is shaping young minds for success. Recently, Converge Media producer Curtis Delgado II and Central District's very own recording artist, Mafi D, teamed up with the Black Equality Coalition and students from Panther Lake Elementary to create an anthem for the 4th and 5th grade Unstoppable Coaching Program. Let's take a moment to learn more about the Unstoppable program and see how the music collaboration went down.
BEC is a bridge that connects all different type of institutions, corporations, and organizations back to community, specifically the underserved, underprivileged, disproportionate, the Black community. One of the first events we did was I think it was back to school, I believe. It was a hard time for the schools, hard time for the world. You know, like I said, we was in a pandemic, you know, as well as protesting and everything else. So first thing I did was I took my job out into the community and I showed them what it looks like to give back in certain areas that's really overlooked a lot of times.
There's always something, always a larger group of people that we can help. And I think that's really important to understand how important community is. And I was starting to learn more about community when I started BEC. Because I'll be honest, when I started, again, I didn't really know what I was really getting into at first. I just wanted to hone in on my skills, and then I started to really learn more about community and the Black community and understanding the struggles and understanding what people really go through. Seeing things on TV is so different than actually seeing things outside on the street.
The Unstoppable Coaching Program is something that's been in my head since I transitioned out of the street life, since I transformed my life. It was very important for me to think about what I didn't have and start to create that for the kids of this generation. Tabitha, she's a phenomenal principal. She emailed me, it was like, hey, I don't know what you got going on, but we need you here. So I came the first day, I did an assembly. I just told them that they were unstoppable, right? And after I said that word, I came back the next week and then they had implemented that into their affirmations. So that's how we got the name. I was like, well, we're gonna do an Unstoppable Coaching Program. We're gonna do Unstoppable Award Ceremony.
You can really see the impact because I know now that the teachers here see us as partners. So there's no stressing. They're like, I noticed you had a presenter in there. Do you think you guys could do a quiz for us so that we can prep the children? The 5th graders are going to Olympia on 5/22. Can you do a quiz based on the classes that you guys are doing with them? I encourage their educators to come into the classroom setting with us. Like just come into the class and vibe with the students on a totally different level. Like you don't have to tell them what to do, you don't got to tell them about homework, you can just join in, connect for, and play with them. Just so they can see you like as a human being outside of the normal setting. So us coming here is supposed to be like that. We're in a school setting, but I don't want it to be like a traditional school setting. Forget what you see around you, look at the content that we're bringing to you. Something fresh, something new, and we're trying to establish a village for them. Something that I did for my own children, and I feel that that is my gift and my love letter to Panther Lake and its students, and to ever we serve after this.
It's been really amazing. It's in our second year. Our first year we kind of started a little bit more light with just like awards and the presence of the program, but this year's really taken off and being able to like show our students the possibilities that exist out there beyond just what it's like being in school.
What I love about the kids that are going to your program, they're excited, they're wanting to be leaders, they're like, oh my gosh, we're going to BEC. That mentor program, when they're like, Mr. Anthony's here, Mr. Anthony's here, they are so excited. And it was really cool to see how those kids just took that ownership and were like recognizing like, hey, you know, I could be better at this. And I think with Anthony alongside of him, like, or the whole BEC community, you know, just pushing them along and letting them know like, hey, you can do this. There are other opportunities. It's not, you know, it doesn't stop here. You're unstoppable.
BEC has helped me understand myself. BEC really helps you get more confidence. And helping me good, and the only thing I want to get out of is probably the drama. Here, you know, it really made me who I feel and who I am.
We face the same challenges that everybody else faces when it comes to nonprofit organizations, right? And that's funding, you know, especially being a black man. You know, we got a black agenda. Any type of resources, any type of like beneficial partnerships, you know, we make sure that those is two-way streets. We love our partnerships. We cherish them. We nurture them as well. It's always a two-way street. You know, we just asking for support because we're going to do the work. We're going to make sure that the kids are taken care of. But it takes a village. I want to give, you know, flowers to Tyee Matthews. She's the co-director, and I trust her to bring in individuals that's going to make a positive impact on the kids. She talked with somebody that knew somebody, and she's like, we're going to bring an artist in. I had no clue it was going to be Mafi. That collaboration was phenomenal because Mafi is one of my community heroes, man. He's somebody with lived experience. He's somebody that's been through the trenches and understands how to connect with the community.
From what I gathered from my many trips being at Panther Lake Elementary is these kids have a lot of energy. So when they have a figure like Mafi D come in, it kind of helps them harness that energy into something that's very inspiring, like bringing a figure like Mafi D. I mean, you can only get so much at looking at these rappers on TV, but when you have an actual local rapper come in and help them write a song, now that's very impactful for them. That's something they're going to remember for the rest of their lives.
It made me want to be a rapper. That's pretty cool. He inspired us, you know, yeah, he inspired us, he made a song for us, and that was really great.
Black Equality Coalition.
Friendship, freedom,
Family.
confidence, fun,
Community. Leadership.
mentorship, love.
Black Equality Coalition.
Founded by Anthony Curtis and Latai Matthews, the Black Equality Coalition, or BEC, is dedicated to uplifting and supporting underserved Black and BIPOC youth and families. I think what's so great about this program is that they took something these kids love, and that's music, in particular rap music, and in doing so, they were able to continue inspiring these kids to not only keep pushing for their dreams, but to be unstoppable while doing it. It's time for another break, but when we come back, we're talking about one of the things y'all know I love. And no, I'm not talking about food. I'm talking about wrestling. Stay tuned for my interview with AEW and Defy's Nick Wayne. Welcome back to Back2Besa. I first learned about Nick Wayne while at a Defy wrestling match over at Washington Hall. This was about 2 years ago, and at the time he was only 16 years old. But even back then, there was something special about him. And I didn't take long to see that the Defy fans, also known as Defiance, also seemed something special about him. Since then, Nick has officially turned 18 and is now a pro wrestler for AEW. When I met Nick, I told him I wanted to do an interview with him and learn more about him and his story. And 2 years later, we finally made it happen. During our interview, we talked about everything from, well, the possibility of him taking over the Buddy Wayne Academy, which is a wrestling school started by his late father, Buddy Wayne, to his ongoing beef with AEW Wrestling World Champ Swerve Strickland. In this clip, we talk about how Nick changed the game for wrestlers under the age of 18 and what keeps him jumping in the ring each week. Now, let's start like from the beginning. You've been wrestling since you've basically been able to walk.
Yeah.
How did that happen?
So growing up, my dad was a professional wrestler. He's been a professional wrestler for over 30 years now. My father named Buddy Wayne. He had a wrestling school growing up when I was a kid. So growing up, I was always watching the students train, you know, watching him train these guys and him going and doing shows. And when that wasn't going on, there was always some type of wrestling going on the TV or a tablet or something. So everywhere I looked, there was some type of professional wrestling. And then I finally, I was getting in the ring with him and whatnot when I was a kid, you know, kind of messing around with the students. But then I started taking it serious when I was about 9 years old. I started training with all the students. You know, I got my knee pads, I got my first pair of shoes. So yeah, I started training when I was 9. Then I eventually went to have my first match when I was 12 in Canada. And I spent the first 2 years of my career in Canada because at the time, you weren't allowed to wrestle in the state of Washington until you were 18 because you had to have a wrestling license. To get the license, you had to be 18.
Oh, wow.
And then eventually, this promotion in Everett, Washington, they took the risk and they went to the licensing and they were like, yo, we got this kid. His dad's been like a legend around here. They knew my dad. They're like, oh, we know Buddy Wayne, let his kid wrestle. So they put me on when I was like 14 and that kind of started a lot of the stuff in America. That was like my very first step in America. And then, you know, kind of COVID happened and whatnot. Before that, it was just wrestling in Pacific Northwest. Coming back from COVID, picking up again in the Northwest. And then eventually I popped off and I started going to LA and Chicago and Detroit and getting myself onto the East Coast and then eventually trying to get onto these bigger independents, which I eventually ended up doing throughout 15, 16, 17, and then now 18. And then when I was presented a contract when I was 16 on the independents as well at the FI, they presented me this contract to AEW and they said, whenever you turn 18, you know, this is the time. So it was basically like an apprenticeship when I was 16 and a half. So I had about like a year and a half left on the independents until I went to AEW. So just like a crazy ride it's been so far, you know, being 9 years in the business, close to a decade at only 18. It sounds crazy to say, you know, it sounds unreal to say, but I'm very blessed for all the things that I've gotten to do at my young age. I got to travel internationally. I got like 6 different countries I've wrestled in so far. So I'm blessed to got the opportunities that I did and wrestle the people I've got to wrestle and do the things I got to do at such a young age. You know, I couldn't get there without the people that helped me get there.
You know what's crazy about that, and I'm wondering if this ever dawned on you, but it almost seems like you've made it to where people under 18 can actually wrestle.
Yeah.
Like you coming in with your dad being who he is, they were like, yeah, let's figure this out. And now it's created a space for younger people to actually come out and wrestle. Like, what does that feel like for you?
It's crazy, you know, I like to maybe it's a possible generation starter. You know, I know there's this Twitter page of this guy. He has a classroom full of his students and they put on wrestling matches and the kids, you know, they react to the matches and they're going crazy. They all love wrestling. And he messages me and he tells me, he's like, my students say they want to be the next Nick Wayne. And I'm like, man, I'm only 18. You know, I'm like, the next Nick Wayne. I'm like, it's crazy. These kids are like 6, 7, 8 years old, you know, but it feels so amazing to feel that I may be possibly opening the doors to a new generation. I feel like maybe kids younger that look at me, they're like, he's 18, he's close to my age and he's doing it. That means I can do it.
Absolutely.
You know, and that's what I want ultimately, is I want kids to feel as if they can do whatever they put their mind to. You know, they have a dream, you can achieve it.
My full interview with Nick Wayne is 30 minutes long. Yeah, we had a lot to talk about. Anywho, to see the full interview, head on over to the Fox Local app and search Back2Besa or visit whereweconverge.com/Back2Besa. As Back2Besa gets closer to our 1-year anniversary of being on the air, and with Nick Wayne getting his start in wrestling at Defy Northwest, it's only right that we take a moment to bring in a Back2Besa blast from the past. And that's none other than the time that I was a ring announcer for Defy Northwest Northwest during their first ever all-women's matchup at Washington Hall. It's a day that lives rent-free in my head, and although I can't describe the electric energy that was in the room that day, I can definitely show you how it all went down.
And now, coming to the stage, we got
Hey guys, Besa Gordon here. We're currently at Washington Hall for the Defy Wrestling WC Spirit event. Dude, let me tell you something. I am a huge fan of wrestling, but in this moment, I actually get to be the ring announcer for these amazing ladies. So look, we're gonna tap in and see what goes down today when Defy Wrestling comes to Seattle. Let's check it out.
I watched wrestling on TV. And honestly, that was all I knew and all I watched. I didn't know that independent wrestling happened. But then later on, as I got older, I got back into wrestling in college, and I went to a music festival. And all of a sudden, I'm watching a band on stage, and then two people in underwear fighting in front of me. And I said, what the hell is going on?
I've always been really skinny and small and kind of told all my life I couldn't be a wrestler. And as I got older, I kind of I just didn't give anymore what people thought, you know what I mean? So I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna do it. Time's a ticking. I don't have a lot of time to waste. I'm just gonna do it.
What is coming up next for women in wrestling?
You know, I think what's coming up next is that we don't even have to ask that anymore. It's just gonna be equal. You know, we don't have to be like, it won't be like we have to highlight the women, we have to. They'll just be highlighted because they're just as good as the guys, you know?
To be here is truly a different experience all in itself. Like, you watch it online and you watch GIFs and you go, oh man, that looks cool. But to actually feel this crowd, to feel how hot it is in there, just to like see everybody's faces and talk to them at the merch table, like the Defiance, the fans here, they are like special for sure.
I'm having the best time. Even getting punched in the face by Medusa herself, that was awesome.
Shout out to Defy for having me here. Shout out to the amazing women that pulled up today to freaking Washington Hall. This was absolutely amazing. And honestly, you guys, I am hoping that I get to do this again. Oh my goodness, I can't even speak right now. This experience was absolutely amazing for me. Wrestling vibes. I've brought several of my friends to these matches, and each time I go back, one of them is like, where was my invite? Look, if you haven't been to a Defy match and you're in the Washington area, I suggest you coming to a match the next time they are in town. I sure plan on being there. Anywho, you can grab details about the upcoming matches over at defywrestling.com. It's time for another commercial break, but when we come back, we're tapping in with Back2Besa Love and Relationships coach, Sabrina Jackson-Gandy, plus we give Communion Restaurant and Bar its flowers. Welcome back to Back2Besa. It's that time of the month when we are joined by our Back2Besa Love and Relationships coach, Sabrina Jackson-Gandy, author of The Love Lies. This time around, Sabrina is breaking down the misunderstandings that happen in relationships during communication due to men speaking, as Sabrina would call it, manese, and women speaking womanese. Let's check out this month's Love and Relationships advice from Sabrina. I mean, I guess listening is part of it and saying what you want is part of it, but how do we really get on that same level of communication?
Right. Well, what happens is when we say what we want, we say it in womanese. So it isn't just say what you want, because if you're saying it in a way where a man is still not clicking and getting it, you will conclude he doesn't care, he's not listening, he doesn't give a damn, he's disrespecting you, and none of those are true. So it is true that as in a relationship, we need to be clear, and a lot of times we are not before we start communicating. And then after you're clear, say it in manese. So for example, learning how to make requests is a new communication pattern for most women because we had to assume, we had to anticipate, we had to fill in the blanks. And so let's say that, I'll give you an example. Let's say that we're old friends and we used to go to this one tea room to have tea every third Sunday together. But it's been 10 years and we haven't gone. And so we may be talking and I may say something like, wow, Besa, I really loved when we would go to that tea room. It's been a long time. I dropped a hint, I was indirect. If I'm speaking to another woman, then you will say, Debrina, let's set up some time to go to where? That tea room. As a matter of fact, let's go next Sunday at 5 or 2, and I'll say yes, because that's really what I was insinuating, right? But I wasn't direct about it. Now, if I'm talking to a man, same scenario. Let's say it's not a tea room. Let's say it's a burger joint. Like, oh man, that burger joint we used to go to when we were dating. Let's say we're now married. That burger joint that we used to go to when we were married, we haven't been there in a long time. I love that burger joint. If it's a man, he'll say, ooh, I love that burger joint too. And yeah, it has been a long time. And leave it right there.
It's a conversation.
And leave it right there. And then if I go, he'll say, well, what's wrong? Nothing. Now I just lied. And I had an emotional reaction, because a lot of us aren't healed in our relationships. And really it's because I didn't understand how to communicate. Now, after I narrate about it's been a long time, love their burgers, now I need to present the request. Would you take me to that burger joint in the next 2 weeks or soon or next weekend? That request piece sounds so simple, but it is not a natural part of our communication pattern as women. And it comes to a head and it creates friction when we're in love relationships and romantic relationships and marriage spaces, because now you have emotion involved and you're up close and personal with someone. So, so these sound so simple, but when I share these with women and they go back and try it, they're like, game changer, no one ever told me. And so, so those are just a few examples.
You know, I won't speak for everyone else, but I do have a tendency to assume people, especially men, know what I'm thinking or how I'm feeling. And at times, rather than just saying what I want, I hope they figure it out, which always leaves me frustrated in the end because they never get it right. But at the end of the day, it's like the old saying says, closed mouths don't get fed. And in 2024, if we can't express to the person we are dating what we really want without feeling uneasy, there is definitely a deeper issue going on that needs to be addressed, okay? Now, how do you keep communication with your mate on the up and up? Let us know by sending an email over to Back2Besa@whereweconverge.com, and be sure to grab Debrina's book, The Love Lies, for more love and relationships advice. Chef Christy Brown of Communion Restaurant and Bar has garnered the James Beard Award nomination this year for Best Chef in the Northwest and Pacific region. The James Beard Awards recognizes exceptional talent and achievement in the culinary arts, hospitality, media, and broader food system, as well as a demonstrated commitment to racial and gender equity, community, sustainability, and culture where all can thrive. As you may have noticed, we've been supporting Communion since day one here on Back2Besa, and our cameras were even there during their 3-year anniversary celebration. In honor of this nomination, let's take a look back at their 3-year anniversary celebration as community came together to celebrate Communion's triumphs over the years.
We are celebrating 3 years of Communion. Communion Restaurant Bar opened on this day 3 years ago in the middle of a pandemic. And for a restaurant, that is a phenomenal feat. We are here highlighting the greatness of Chef Christy, of her partner, her son, Damon Bomar, as they celebrate with their phenomenal staff in the community what it looks like to bring exactly what we needed back to the Central District, a wonderful restaurant that we can all call home.
Communion's special because it represents the fruition of ancestry, and that's really inspiring to me. I mean, I just am so inspired by a story of a family that has brought together their recipes and their hard work and their grind and created something that feels like magic. The food is healing.
This first 3 years was really trekking through a lot of hardship, you know what I'm saying? You're coming out the pandemic, you
we're trying to, keep morale high, keep staffing high, keep it going, keep a high quality product. And that was really tough. And I mean, as we all were going through a lot of tough things, personally and business-wise. But I'm really excited for the future. Yeah.
That we are a people who come from somewhere, that we are a people who have a past, that we are a people who have a history. And part of that history is celebration. Part of that history is being able to, when we were told that we could not laugh, that we couldn't have a
For those that don't know, man, my mom started off with That Brown Girl Cooks as a catering company. And I grew up, she started that when I was like, 5 years old. So I grew up in the catering company with her, seeing her work hard, seeing her grind, seeing her client list, seeing her network, seeing her go out and really do the thing, take risks and do all that stuff. And so it's really like, so when I came back from college, I was like, man, I think the restaurant would really cement her legacy, and it did. And so I'm excited about that, man. Excited about that.
Full, so full of joy. I woke up this morning and made a commitment to keep my heart open. And I wanted to keep my heart open because, just like anybody else, I have my days, where I doubt, where I have doubts, where I don't feel enough, where I am tired. And I didn't want any part of that today. I didn't want any part of that. I wanted to be able to really stand in a space of appreciating myself, appreciating all that I've gone through to get to this point. And I'm just full with the feelings of gratefulness, excitement for the future, and in awe of the gift that I've been given and the amount of people that it's touched. When I think about the times where I didn't have money, I didn't have a car, I had food stamps, but I had a catering job. We made that happen, the actual stamps, not the card. And that's prepared me for where I'm at, and I love it because no matter where I go, people see that in me. And that just lets me know I'm on purpose, and you gotta stay on purpose because this world is doggedly trying to pursue you to take that away from you, to take your joy away from you, pursuing your purpose, from your children seeing you succeed, all of that kind of stuff. But I'm not here for that, and I just want to shine as much as I possibly can so that people can see that beacon to say, oh, okay, again, if she can do it, I can do it. And you can do it.
Today, when I was thinking about all of the things, I was thinking about how people are so touched and moved. And it is a restaurant, but it's a space where people come to get fed. And I've been saying this since we opened, it's like people are hungry for more than just food.
Congratulations, Chef Christy Brown and Communion Restaurant and Bar. After taking a big leap of faith by opening Communion during the pandemic, not only has it paid off, their work in the kitchen hasn't gone unnoticed. The 2024 James Beard Award winners will be announced during an award ceremony in Chicago on June 10th. And we can't wait to celebrate them bringing home some gold to the Central District. To learn more about Communion, head on over to their website at communionseattle.com. We're off to another commercial break, but when we come back, it's time for events to know about. Welcome back to Back2Besa. I'm your host, Besa Gordon, and it's time for events to know about, where I tell you about all the dope events happening around the city that you don't want to miss. So let's jump right into it. First,
all right, you guys, this week we are talking all things Juneteenth events. You already know I gotta make sure you guys know what's going on before it's too late. So for starters, on Saturday, June 15th, yes, we are kicking off the festivities a little early. There is a Juneteenth celebration of freedom at the Renton Library. On the 16th, there is Revival Juneteenth Market pop-up over at Midtown Square. Now, on the actual Juneteenth day, we have Juneteenth celebration over at NAM. We have a Juneteenth celebration over at Jimi Hendrix Park. And no, these are not at the same time. The one at NAM is from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. and the one at Jimi Hendrix is going to be from 12 p.m. to 8 p.m. Then you also have Juneteenth. This is at Shoreline City Hall. They actually do this one every single year. Also on Juneteenth, there is Juneteenth celebration Road to Economic Freedom over at Stewart Heights Park. Then you have City of Tuckwilla's annual Juneteenth commemoration over at Sylvian Center in Tukwilla. You have the City of Mercer Island celebrates Juneteenth. This is at Mercerdale Park. And you have the Juneteenth Black Women Brunchin'. This is happening over at Wow Gallery, which is located in Pacific Place Mall. Now, continuing on in June, because Juneteenth is not just something that we're only celebrating one day around here, okay? Saturday, June 22nd, the Atlantic Street Center's 23rd annual Juneteenth celebration is happening over at Rainier Beach Community Center. You have the 8th annual Juneteenth celebration happening at Othello Park, also on June 22nd. And another one on June 22nd, you have the Juneteenth Community Celebration over at Willis D. Tucker Park, and this is happening over in Snohomish, Washington.
That's it for this week's events to know about. Hopefully you found something dope to do around the city. And of course, if you have an event that you think I should know about, definitely send me an email to Back2Besa@whereweconverge.com. All right, friends, it's time for our last commercial break. But when we come back, it's time for Affirmation of the Week. Welcome back to Back2Besa. I'm your host, Besa Gordon, and if you're new here, each week we like to end the show with an affirmation, quote, or mantra. This week, we're doing a mantra, all right? Your mantra is, I will no longer talk myself out of opportunities. Okay, let's talk about it. What do I mean by that? Here's the ting-a-ling. Talking yourself out of opportunities is more than just kind of like a self-doubt situation, right? And it's even more than imposter syndrome. That counts for procrastination. Have you ever had an amazing opportunity and then you're just like, oh, I'll do it later. Oh, I'll figure this out later. Oh, I need help on doing this. I'll ask for help on how to do it later. And then the opportunity is gone. Look, when you have an opportunity, you need to make sure you seize the moment because that door can be closed on you at any given time. All right, you guys, that is it for this week's episode of Back2Besa. I quickly want to say thank you to everyone that has literally reached out to me after talking to you all about what I've been going through with my skin. Definitely cried reading some of those comments and emails, and honestly, I really just do feel so full inside and just even more so happy that I'm able to come on here and just really be vulnerable with you guys and not be judged while doing it. In the meantime, between time, look, if you guys have any skin regimens, let me know because again, your girl is dry and I'm trying to get through this, okay? But until next week, look, we are once again coming up on our 1-year anniversary right here on Back2Besa. So if you have a favorite episode, dude, hit me up. Back2Besa@whereweconverge.com. Let me know what your favorite segment was on that episode. And then of course, until next time, you guys already know what I'm gonna say. I wanna thank you for watching. I hope that you have an amazing rest of your day. And of course, keep that energy.